Many people think if they're put on 1800 calories, they may as well be put on hunger strike. But I'm about to prove with the demonstration of 2 different 1800 calorie full days of eating why that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. So my 2 lovely sisters, Aine and Fiona, are going to be joining my brand new 8-week Physique Accelerator starting on the 30th of September. And today we're going to be showing you how to set up your brand new fat loss plan to enjoy the most success, shedding a couple of unwanted kgs and getting into the shape of your life. So the first thing that you need to do is get a proper food shop done on the Sunday. Head down bright and early to Aldi, to Lidl, to Dunn's, while everyone's probably still in bed hungover from the night before, and get a week's worth of food sorted. Obviously, it goes without saying that when you come across this particular food aisle, considering that you're probably going to invest in the next 8 weeks to become the best possible version of you, this aisle doesn't really align with that. One of the benefits of coming to Dunn's at 8 o'clock in the morning is the fact that if you're socially awkward like me and you hate high volumes of people, everyone's still in bed. Not only have you got free aisles to walk down, but you've also got the prime selection, the first selection of all the fresh produce out on the shelves first. So I'd highly recommend it. Another incentive to stay in on a Saturday night. I hate to kind of do Dunn's a bad one, but their slim bagels are not half as good as Aldi's ones. So we're actually going to drive to Aldi after this to pick up any desire that Dunn's couldn't fulfill. The tubs of skyr, so you can only get like 300 grams of skyr. The skyr, yeah, the Greek yogurt, yeah, skyr. You can only get 300 grams here, so if you're trying to get a week's worth of skyr.
4 of us now, all having probably 200 to 300 grams a day.
Okay, so when you spread that across 3 people,
grams in a tub.
So you're probably going to need, let's call it 10 tubs, which is 30 euros. So it'll be interesting to see what we can get equivalent in Aldi with like bigger 1 kg tubs. As far as I'm concerned, low calorie chocolate doesn't exist. Like you can get a skinny whip if you wanted, which is 70 calories, but it's just going to be a skinnier, shittier version of a standard chocolate bar. So when it comes to a fat loss phase, you're probably going to be better off to actually just buy one of these. Usually what we're shooting for is about the 100 calorie mark or so per item. So something as simple as like Freddo bars. Gold actually is a solid one. So they're literally 95 per one. Easily you could fit 2 of them and it's probably going to be fairly small, but at least it's not going to taste like shit. When it comes to like treats on a fat loss phase, you're just not going to get great satisfaction from a fucking skinny whip 70 calorie chocolate bar. Same goes for sort of the fiber nows. So instead, just get an actual twirl bar, just get an actual Freddo bar, just get an actual crunchy, because in the grand scheme of things, they're not going to be a huge amount of calories higher per bar, and they're actually more likely to satisfy whatever craving that you have. Something that is at least shaved probably 7.5 minutes off the time in which it takes me to do a food shop is actually having a list to follow. When I think the food shop is done, remembering that one item that I didn't get that I actually do need. Last but not least, if you just do what myself and Fiona have done and taken one of the many wide open spaces a little bit further back from Dunn's, not only do you have the luxury and comfort of being able to whip your car door open as wide as you fucking like, but you also get a couple of extra steps. And is it going to be a deal breaker? Is it going to be 1,000,001 steps that's going to absolutely get you shredded to the core in comparison to parking right in front of the door? No, it won't be, but it is just one of those things that added up over time, over the course of a day, leads you to having a slightly higher level of activity and slightly lower stress levels. We've just pulled in at Aldi. There's 2 reasons why we've come to Aldi. Number 1 is that Dunn's don't do to the same quality the slim bagels, the skiers, and Aldi's fruit is shit, Dunn's is slightly better. Well, I haven't a fucking clue, I'm just going off what she says. A rookie mistake I always make is thinking that because I'm only coming in for a handful of items that I don't need to get one of these fucking trolleys, and then I just end up walking around the shop, shit spilling everywhere. So, you know, even if you think what you're coming in for is like 2 things, just do yourself or save yourself the hassle and get yourself a trolley. Let's put this to the test. Now see, 57 calories per 100 gram, 72 calories. Skyr is actually Icelandic yogurt, so I've never been to Iceland, but I heard it's nice. We just wasted a load of petrol, a load of time to come and get skyr, which is the exact same price as it is in Dunn's, $2.99. As far as macros goes and satiety, it's possibly the best bang for your buck that you're ever going to get from a dieting food. 50 calories per 100 gram. If you have 300 grams, which is a big fucking bowl, you're probably looking at about 150 calories. When you compare like a fucking fart of a yogurt drink like that for the same calories as possibly 350 grams of this stuff, so this box itself is 850, so probably close to just short of half of that you could get for the same as that and more protein. So as far as bagel thins goes, Dunn's really needs to up their game because Aldi is coming in clutch on this one. There's more girth. I'm nearly certain I've made this tip before. Microwave rice is pretty much the exact same as boiling the bag shit, but it's obviously 10 times more convenient. You can make your life a lot more difficult and buy one of these by all means and have to fucking separate it out and boil it separately. Do yourself a favor, get one of these, stick them in the microwave. So this right here, although not perfect, is about a week's worth of food for 4 people. Now, a couple of things missing would be an extra bit of meat that we'll probably pick up in a farm shop during the week. This came to a total of just under 200 euros. I know what you're saying. Sounds pretty expensive, which it is, but if you wanted to save money off your food shop straight away, what I'd be recommending that you do is actually take out a lot of the junk food items here. And it's not that there's anything wrong with them, but they're probably going to be one of the more expensive items on the menu. You could probably save yourself 30, 40 quid by removing all of these here. If you wanted to get rid of the cans of Pepsi, so these came to about 12.70 €, so you could save yourself another couple of quid off the food shop there. So in general, if you go pretty heavy with respect to fruit, veg, carb sources, get a decent amount of food done for, I'm not going to say inexpensive, but certainly cheaper than if you just had no plan with it whatsoever. The things that are going to set you back the most in this day and age are obviously going to be the meat, the luxury food items, the sort of protein snacks as well. In this situation, what I think would be a really good alternative if you found as though these were starting to tottle up your food bill a little bit more, would be to buy, you could probably even find something that's cheaper than skyr, but also get protein powder and just mix Greek yogurt, whatever the cheapest Greek yogurt that you can find, with protein powder, add a bit of fruit on top. That's going to save you a lot more hassle. It's less convenient, but it's going to save you money in comparison to the protein yogurts. Once you have your food shop done, you can imagine how easy it's going to be that you're going to be able to stick to your plan during the week. There's nothing worse than waking up on day 1 of a fat loss plan and having no food planned, no meals planned, no food in the fridge, and basically you just throw together whatever is in front of you. You want to make the best choices, the easy choices, and the best way of doing that is ensuring that you have a full scale of food available for you to actually go and prepare. A handy thing that you can do to make your life as easy as possible during the week, because realistically most people have a breakfast meal planned out that they can throw together in 2 seconds, whether that be oats, whether that be cereal, Greek yogurt, etc., etc. But if you want to simply grab a slow cooker, and obviously it hinges on your capacity to have a slow cooker, you can basically just prepare chicken to have waiting in the fridge. On top of the chicken, we're going to marinate it in buffalo sauce. So buffalo sauce for the whole jar is about 250 calories. So about 100 milliliters of buffalo sauce will set you back about 60. Is that the chicken or is that me?
Good soup.
Good soup. Why can't I just make anything look nice?
But it's fucking raw.
The logic behind this is that one of the meals on the sample full day of eating is going to be chicken bagels. And if you go and buy them in Lidl or Aldi, they can be like $2.50 a pop for like 150 grams of chicken, which is pretty much fuck all. So it can be quite expensive if you're to buy a week's worth of pre-cooked chicken pieces. So by just buying like the standard fucking chicken fillets, putting it in the slow cooker, then shredding it up, you're going to have chicken in a bowl ready and waiting for you to make those lunches, those slim bagel lunches, as easy as possible. So it's just a handy idea, because otherwise then you're going cooking fucking chicken fillets every time that you want to eat your lunch, which is going to add a little bit more resistance, it's going to add a little bit more friction towards you actually sticking and adhering to your diet.
Is it difficult to do? You look awful stressed.
It's my forearms now are starting to hurt.
What's with the breathing?
I'm getting hungry now. Fuck's sake. Have you shredded the chicken yet, homie? So I know it looks like Fiona's taken over the cooking. She is, because not that I couldn't do it, I could do it, but the result is always going to look like less appealing, and I want this video to be as appealing as possible. I did, however, speaking of peels, peel and cut the carrots. So what she's doing here, if you can see acutely, she's cutting the potatoes into very neat cubes. And what she plans to do is to boil them as cubes, then finish them off in the oven.
Yeah.
And what's that going to achieve?
So they're not just spuddy cubes, we're just...
You heard it here first. We don't want spuddy cubes. So many people think if they're put on 1800 calories, they may as well be put on hunger strike. But I'm about to prove with the demonstration of 2 different 1800 calorie full days of eating, why that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. On one side of the equation, we have a 2-egg omelette, we have some ham, peppers, and a slim bagel to go with that. Again, like any of these meals, if you wanted to put a side of veg, whether spinach, salad, it would really bulk up the meal, help you feel a little bit fuller. I just don't happen to have any in the fridge. Meal number 2 is a bag of treble crunch potatoes, or crisps as Abby would call them, and a ham and cheese toastie. Now it's gone a bit cold at this stage, so the cheese is far from melted, but a very, very simple, easy to prepare meal that really doesn't take a lot of thought. Finally, we have the dinner meal. Now, again, gone a little cold, broccoli a little overcooked. We have some baby potatoes, and we have 2, I'm not going to lift that up because it's going to ruin the aesthetic of the meal, but basically 2 beef burgers with a bit of cheese on 2 Aldi Slimbo buns. Now for snacks, we have the good old fruit, we have apple, we have a banana, and we have a Graham's protein yogurt pouch. And to finish things off, to make you feel even fuller, on top of your morning monster, of course, then you have a Pepsi Max. That particular full day of eating comes to a grand total of in and around 1800 calories and 130 grams of protein. Moving over to sample 1800 calorie full day of eating number 2, we're going to start off with the breakfast meal. Here is about 80 grams, but you can be pretty liberal with the amount of fruit that you decide to put in this. This is about 80 grams of strawberries, you have about 50 grams of raspberries and 50 grams of blueberries, and that is on top of 200 grams of skyr Icelandic yogurt. One thing that I will say with Greek yogurt in particular is that it doesn't quite hit the same without a high quality protein powder put in it. So this is the perfect opportunity for a shameless plug. If you are to put something in it, I'm all out of cinnamon cereal, but I would highly recommend to put it in your skyr yogurt bowl. Moving on to meal number 2, again, as you can see, it's a little bit pale in comparison to how it would be if you had a side of spinach, salad, or basically any sort of veg that you have. When you're on a fat loss phase, veg doesn't really count. I mean, you could have, technically it has calories, but you could have a fuck ton of it and it would probably amount to a maximum of 100 calories. But in terms of the satiety you'll get, how good you'll feel, it'll be something that is very much worth loading up your plate with. Meal number 2 is a lunch meal of shredded chicken, a little bit of cheese on 2 Aldi Slimbo buns. And then for the dinner, we have a classic chicken curry. It's been sitting out for a while, so it will look much better if it's steaming and piping hot, but a delicious chicken curry with a lot of veg in there. Again, the veg is minimal amount of calories, but you can just see how much more it bulks up the plate. On top of about 125 grams of basmati rice, it takes us on to the snacks for today. And the snacks on this one is a little bit more plentiful than it was on day number 1. So of course we have the Graham's protein yogurt pouch, we have apple, we have the banana, but we also have a mandarin alongside 2 Baby Bells for about 10 grams of protein, 80 calories. And then we have a classic crunchy chocolate bar. Really and truly, you could fit chocolate into either one of these days of eating. Obviously, you're going to have to keep it to a minimum to ensure that it doesn't eat up so much of your 1800 calories that it starts to feel as though you're on a starvation diet. But by all means, swap out a couple of ingredients, swap out 1 or 2 things that you would prefer to have instead. And that right there is a very, very good example of how 1800 calories doesn't necessarily mean that you have to starve. So that concludes today's YouTube video. If I was to give you 3 take-home points as you start a brand new fat loss phase, number 1 is of course to get up bright and early the day or 2 days before to get a proper food shop done. The second thing that you're going to do is not do as we in the Fitzpatrick household have done and loaded the place up with a rake of shit that realistically is going to be super convenient to eat whenever you get any sort of emotional stress. So basically your environment is the invisible hand that shapes your behavior. So if you fill it up with a load of shit, then the chances are you're increasing the likelihood for failure on your fat loss phase. So if I was to give you some advice, either eat it all the day before, probably not the most practical, but failing that, definitely have a look at possibly throwing it out. So the third thing to do,
don't be like her,
is number 1, don't be like Anya. But the fourth thing, if we're going to throw in a bonus point, probably to get a head start on your week. So as you can see with my slow cooker culinary skills, how I expertly shredded that chicken, that's going to be a bowl that'll be in the fridge that when I get stressed, I can just go and I can eat that, and it'll really help me to stick to my diet when the going gets tough.
So that would be how I would set up a fat loss phase. On the 30th of September, a brand new 8-week Physique Fat Loss Accelerator goes live. And basically, it's an opportunity where you can accelerate the progress you've made with your physique to date over the course of 8 weeks. So if you want to take 5 to 8 kilos off your frame, build some muscle, build some strength in the meantime, it's a very serious discussion, Fiona, and basically get into the shape of your life prior to Christmas, well then I'd love to see you on the other side. For any clothing, code Sean, Gymshark. For any supplements, ESN, code Sean as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one. Drop the video a like.